But look, I just wanted to present some really interesting evidence to you, Lady C, because I'm really sick and tired of Harry always acting as if he is not the physical aggressor. Because he did that in Spare, didn't he? He made it very, very clear that it was William who was the physical aggressor. And there's one example that was pointed out this week by Meghan's mole. And it was when the Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins, now he's sadly departed now, the world, recalled the time that Prince Harry had assaulted him. And according to Taz, posted, Harry has always been a nasty piece of work. He slapped Taylor around the face, knowing that his security would let him get away with it and block any retaliation. Harry's been protected his whole life. That's why he's not a nice man. How many other stories had been buried? And Lady C, I remembered this interview with Taylor Hawkins, and I wanted to go back and see for myself exactly what he had said, because obviously it's really tragic too when you think Taylor Hawkins now isn't with us. He died, and he was a very, very talented guy. And when you go back and you watch this interview with Howard Stern, it is very clear, Lady C, Taylor Hawkins is not joking around about this. He was disgusted about the fact that Prince Harry, totally unprovoked, physically assaulted him. Number one, God rest his soul, Taylor Hawkins, very talented musician, but Lady C, that is out and out physical assault by Prince Harry.
Well, yeah, but let's not forget that Bunter Wooster, in his memoirs, he's now the present Duke of Beaufort. He describes a party where his father actually was still alive. So his father was still the Duke of Beaufort, and he was only the Marquis of Worcester. And he describes a party where Harry actually practically ruined the party. And it's the butler who brought the whole of Harry's really assault of other people to an end. Because Harry kept on picking up girls who were in beautiful evening dresses that would have cost several hundred or several £1,000s, and they most likely would have had on family jewelry, and kept on throwing them into the swimming pool. And Harry thought it was funny. So Harry has a track record from several different verifiable corroborative sources of actual physical violence. Now, the reason why Harry is alert, in my opinion, to having to rebut this latest story is that he understands that because remember, he and Meghan are having huge problems, and there is no assurance that the marriage is going to survive. And he needs to position himself in such a way that if there is a divorce or if there is a separation, that she cannot use his violence against him legally. So he has to deny it. And he knows that Prince Andrew is not going to be disloyal, because whatever Prince Andrew's faith, he's never been disloyal. And of course, we can't say the same about Harry, because Harry's middle name is Iscariot. But I think there's that motivation, because Harry and Meghan are not in tandem at the moment, as I know that you know. And he has to protect himself. And I think that's why he has been quick to rebut the story of but the irony is, what he is rebutting is where he's the victim. He's not the perpetrator, because Andrew is the one who attacked him, according to the story. So
Prince William is backing a hardline strategy to freeze Harry, Meghan, and, most explosively, their children out of the royal future, not with fists, but with paperwork and palace machinery. The logic: According to insiders, in the royal world, titles equal legitimacy, and legitimacy equals power, now and decades from now. Cut the titles, you cut the leverage. If true, it's the coldest move we've seen yet. Let's unpack what that actually means. Violent in tabloid shorthand doesn't mean literal violence. In royal speak, it can mean a forceful institutional play, revoking or limiting styles and titles, closing the door on HRH usage, withdrawing residual funding or perks, narrowing security eligibility, and running a quiet but surgical PR operation that dents credibility. It's the kind of political violence the Windsors specialize in. No shouting, no spectacle, just doors that stop opening and phones that stop ringing.
Yeah, I find that fascinating, actually. Yes, he has to deny more examples of physical violence because he knows that his current wife is shopping around the post-divorce book. I mean, it's completely extraordinary. Looking at all of these revelations...
And of course, can I see?
Please.
And of course, if it became convenient for her, he says, oh, well, Your Honor, he was so violent, I suffered so greatly, and I had to cover it up. That's why I browned myself up constantly, because it really wasn't that I was trying to look darker than I truly was, but I had all those black eyes to cover. Poor little me. Well, of course, everybody knows that she has him meow-whipped to within an inch of his life. But he has to, because she will use stuff like that, whether it's true or not, because Meghan has never limited herself to the facts before.
No.
And any dagger that is lying around, she will use to plunge it right in. And we can just imagine the script that she'll come up with.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating when you look at Andrew Laney's book and what Andrew told Harry about his marriage to Meghan Markle, because whatever you think of Prince Andrew, he was right here. Lady C, let me just read you a couple of the key lines and I'll get you to respond. So Andrew Laney writes, later Andrew told Harry his marriage to Meghan Markle would not last more than a month and accused his nephew of going bonkers and not doing any due diligence into her past. He openly accused Meghan of being an opportunist and thought she was too old for Harry, adding that his nephew was making the biggest mistake ever. The source said Harry later told William he hated Andrew. But Lady C, whatever you think of Prince Andrew, his summation of what Harry was doing was completely correct. Now, sure, we know Andrew has, shall we say, oafish delivery at times. Maybe that wasn't the right way to present it. But I mean, can we really criticize Andrew for trying to warn Harry off making the biggest mistake of his life? Well, no, I won't criticize him for that, Lady C. In fact, I'm going to go one step further. I congratulate him for having the balls to tell Harry the truth to his face, because Lady C, there are a lot of other members of the royal family who were saying all of this behind the scenes to each other and not being brave enough to say it to Harry's face. So look, I know there's a lot to criticize Andrew for. He's made lots of mistakes. But when it comes to him trying to warn Harry off Meghan, I only have praise for him. I really do. And no one's praised him at all this week for anything.
Why now? The monarchy is a long game. From the palace perspective, again, allegedly, allowing Sussex titles to roll unchecked into the next generation risks future complications. Leverage in media deals, claims to precedents, or pressure campaigns years from now, preempting that today is framed internally as risk management, not revenge. It's ruthless, yes, but the crown has always chosen the institution over the individual. If you believe the chatter, William sees this as firewalling the brand before it's his to protect full time. Could it even happen? Titles are not vibes, they're law and letters patent. A reigning monarch can amend who holds what, and Parliament can be pulled into the mix for bigger constitutional tweaks. It wouldn't be overnight, and it wouldn't be done via a press release. It would look like a drip Titan-style guidance here, removed listings there, an updated order of precedence, and a new convention that quietly becomes permanent. By the time we notice, it's already baked in. The stakes are brutal. For Harry and Meghan, allegedly, Titles are part of their professional gravity, introductions, access, the halo that sells a project before the first meeting. Remove that, and the brand shifts from royal adjacent to celebrity couple, which in Hollywood is a much more crowded lane. For the palace, the risk runs the other way. Any move touching the children supercharges the optics. It could look petty, it could look punitive, and it might push sympathetic neutrals back toward the Sussexes.
Well, I'm going to back you up on that because I commend him for having done it. And the fact of the matter is, he didn't do it in a terrible way. I mean, how else are you going to get across the fact that your nephew is making a total idiot of himself and is going to ruin his life? And I mean, to say that Meghan was an opportunist is putting it mild. You know, I mean, he could have used far more cutting words, but he didn't. And he's turned out to be absolutely right in every way, except, of course, the fact that the marriage did last longer than a month. And so there he was wrong. But in every other respect, he was right. And he's not the only member of the family, Dan, as I'm sure you know, who actually tried to talk Harry out of making the biggest mistake of his life. And it's turned out to have not only been a big mistake for Harry, but the mistake Harry made had to destroy the last months of his grandfather's life, the last years of his grandmother's life, to catapult the British nation into something approximating a racial cauldron. The Commonwealth, it caused no end of problems in the Commonwealth. I mean, I wish I had a pound for every West Indian and African diplomat who came up to me at events and said to me, we can't say this publicly, but please continue what you're doing because Meghan Markle is absolutely a disaster and she is causing huge problems in our countries with race relations. So, I mean, you know, it was Harry's mistake has not been just a personal mistake. It's been not only a national mistake. It's even in the United States of America, it's been a huge mistake because let's remember, at the moment, the Americans are starting to look into the way that Harry and Meghan have been abusing their charity's status to provide political support against the regulations, incidentally, of charities, and which is something I've addressed over quite a long period of time. That so even in the United States, I mean, if there is an investigation, and if it turns out that Meghan and Harry broke the law, which indeed they did, because they had no right to be. Well, let me put it this way: if they've managed to get away with supporting Geoffrey Craig and Ashley Biden, it's because on technical grounds they have not broken the letter of the law, but they have certainly broken the spirit of the law, because charities are not allowed to enter into politics and be politicized, which is what they have been using Archie well as a vehicle of for some considerable length of time. So, you know, her disdain for the rules and the regulations that were in place, not only here, but in the United States, so that there would be good governance, are just, I mean, astonishing. And he's gone along with it.
Then there's the family piece. If these reports are even partially true, William's willingness to consider erasing his brother's branch from the formal future tells you how wide the gulf has become. This isn't a feud anymore, it's a succession strategy. Charles, ever the conciliator, may still want the bridge left standing, but the heir's job is different. protect the crown at all costs, even if that cost is blood. So, where does this land? Either the palace does nothing and risks years of drip-drip drama, or it acts now and risks a public backlash. It's a lose-lose framed as a necessary choice. And if you zoom out, it reads like the end of the relatable royal duo era for good. Whatever they were together, whatever they could have been, those doors look shut from both sides. Your turn. If this alleged plan is real, is William justified to defend the institution before it's his? Or is this an unforgivable betrayal of his own brother and niece and nephew? Drop your take in the comments. If you're here for the real talk behind the palace polish, hit like and subscribe. More no-spin breakdowns coming.